So we were talking about the Battle of Hunain last time, and these battles are taking place later in the time that Prophet ﷺ spent in Medina. So at this time, when these battles are taking place, Prophet ﷺ has already surpassed the age of 60 years. So he's around 61 years of age when these battles are taking place. But it is the miracle of the Prophet ﷺ that even at that age, when somebody would look at him, they would think that he's a young man. So you could basically, I mean, like he didn't had any gray hair even at that age. So he looked skin wise, when you look at him, the appearance, the strength, and everything was miraculously of a young man. That was people would think about him. So that's why when we looked at this battle last time, the Battle of Hunain, we looked at when the people of Banu Hawazin tribe attacked Muslims and Muslim army of this massive Muslim army of 12,000 men couldn't stand in front of this massive army of Banu Hawazin. They started fleeing in different directions. So this was the time when some Muslims gathered around Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were only 100 in number. But the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was seen leading the Muslim army of these 100 men and was trying to get into the enemy ranks and was trying to ride as fast as he could. And his cousin, Abu Sufyan bin Harith, that was his cousin, he tried to push the animal back by pressing down on the feet where where you rest your feet when you're riding an animal. He was trying to press it down to slow down the animal. And the Prophet ﷺ was going with brisk speed towards the enemy. At that time, angels actually entered the battlefield, as we learned about last time, and the people of Banu Hawazin saw angels, but Muslims did not see. And one of the person from Makkah was attending this war, and he was not a believer yet, but he was on the side of the Prophet ﷺ, and he said to the Prophet, I see men that have never seen before. They are wearing all white, and they have a turban on their heads, and their horses are half white, half black. And they are striking enemies, and the enemy is running away like they can't even stand in front of them. Who are these people? They were not with us when we left Makkah. This is a totally different uniform. And the Prophet ﷺ said, these are the angels. And only the non-believers are seeing them. So since you have not yet believed, you are seeing them as well. So that was the time then the people of Banu Hawazin lost the battle running away. So I shared with you guys a map, and I would like to bring that map again. This is the map. No, this is the map that we looked at. This is the battlefield where the Battle of Hunain is taking place. The green arrow is where the Muslim army came, and this is where the Battle of Hunain took place. And then when the Battle of Hunain ended, as these guys were struck by the angels, and then the Muslim army gathered again and they started striking these guys. So the enemy, which is the people of the tribe of Hawazin, they started fleeing in this direction where you see this big red arrow going in the corner. This is their way to Taif. Now, in the smaller map over here, you can see this is where the battle took place, the Ja'rana. And the people of Makkah came from here. And the people, after losing the battle, they started fleeing to Taif, this red arrow that I'm drawing here. So they started going down south, farther away from Makkah, into the mountains, because Taif was a city that was in mountains, very difficult terrain to go through the mountains and then be able to capture the city. So they wanted to secure themselves. So that's why they started fleeing away from that region. So, let me tell you one more thing here, which is this spot, this particular spot. When all the army ran away, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked his army to gather the belongings of the enemy and pile it up here in this place where it's called, some people call this place Ja'rana, and some people call this place Ja'rana with a shadda on the on the ra. Ja'rana or Ja'rana. These are the two pronunciation. So this is the spot that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam later on, because now these people ran away to Taif. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went after them to Taif, and when he was done with the battle of Taif, from this place, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went for the Umrah all the way to Mecca. But this happened after the battle of Taif. So I wanted to recap real quick the Battle of Hunain. That's a battle that we talked about last time. And now I will be moving to the Battle of Taif. So let me clear these annotations for you guys. And let me now go to the Battle of Taif. Now, just so that you understand, this is where Mecca is. The Battle of Hunain is done. And these army of the Battle of Hunain under the Malik ibn Auf are now entering Taif, which is down south. And Taif has a lot of forts where people can enter and secure themselves. They will be right behind the walls. And it'll be very difficult to go in. So when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was still in the battlefield of Hunain near Ja'rana, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered all these prisoners to be kept on the side, which was under Abu Sufyan ibn Harb, who was the leader of Makkah. Later on, he joined the Prophet in the Battle of Taif. And then some other companions were ordered to safeguard the belongings that were left behind by the enemy army. So these will be distributed afterwards in the soldiers. And then the Prophet Muhammad with his army went all the way to Taif. So let's talk about what really happened in Taif next. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to Taif and noticed that Taif has a lot of gardens, a lot of farms, because Taif is a very, very fertile place, very beautiful place. If you ever have a chance to go to Makkah, and if you have time, take a ride to Taif. And you will notice that even in summer days at nighttime, you will need light jacket because it's colder up in the mountains. And in the winter, it's cold over there. So Taif is a totally different thing. And in Taif, the people have water inside coming down from the mountains. So if they secure the city, they have access to water, they have access to food. So when Prophet Muhammad reached Taif, he noticed that people have stored the food for 1 year. They can just stay inside the fort for 1 full year and fight Muslims, no problem. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tried to come up with a different plan. So what he did, one of his companions, his name was Amr Dosi. He sent him to his village when they were still in fighting Hunain, that go to your village and destroy their idols, because everybody is Muslim in that village. And when you're coming back, I want you to bring the catapult. The catapult is a little springing-like device in which you can put big stones and throw them with force far away, and they were used to destroy the walls of the castle. So he brought the catapult, and Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu knew how to use these catapult. He already trained Muslims in the Battle of Khaybar, as we learned about last year. So these catapult were brought, and they were stationed to throw big stones on the walls of the castles of Taif. No use. No use, because those walls were strong. And constantly, because those forts were built on height, those guys were constantly throwing arrows at the people trying to throw stones from the catapult. So the Prophet ﷺ pulled the catapults back, because catapult didn't have the range. If you go closer, they will attack you with the arrows. So that's why it was not safe to fight them like that. So the catapults were of no use. Then there were tanks, you know, the old time tanks, how they used to be. They were like a hut, covered with iron on the top, and they would have like 40, 50 people under it, and they would just take it very close to the wall with the diggers, and as they get close to the wall, somebody would start digging into the wall with tools. And nobody can destroy them from above because it was like iron sheets. So what people used to do was, when one of these tanks would get closer to the wall, they would throw from above fireballs. So, but they noticed that down below, they don't have a wooden tank, they have a steel iron tank. So when they threw fire, it didn't destroy the iron. But what happened was the iron got so hot that the people underneath were feeling burning, because it was constantly throwing fire at the iron. Because what you do is you bring the tank closer to the wall and you stay underneath it. And for hours and hours, you have to dig through the wall and break the wall. So the companions even came back. They said, we can't do it because they're constantly showering us with fire, and it is hard for us to stay underneath the iron shades. So Prophet ﷺ said, okay, then come back. And then constantly people were going in different groups and attacking. Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu was also sent with some men to go after. Then Umar radiallahu anhu came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, I heard from this woman that you told her that we are not to attack the people of Taif. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yes, we're not to attack the people of Taif. So Umar radiallahu anhu said, then why did we come this far? He said, we only came this far because we were following Malik ibn Auf, the leader of Banu Hawazin. We didn't came for Taif. Allah has not even ordered us to attack Taif. That's why I'm not going against the city of Taif. I'm only attacking those forts and castles where the people of Banu Hawazin are getting protected. So that's my only task, because we are just here to fight them. We are not to fight with the people of Taif. So Umar radiallahu anhu said, how much time do we have to spend over here? Because we've been here almost for like a month, almost, right? We've been there for a long time. So Prophet ﷺ said, okay, Umar, why don't you ask everybody, let's return back, because these people are safe in the castles. We are not here to fight the people of Taif. We will just go back. So Umar radiallahu anhu said to everybody, let's go back, let's go back, let's go back. But there were some people who are like, we came all the way over here. We're not going to go back. We want to fight these people. We're not going to get... When Prophet ﷺ heard about this, Umar radiallahu anhu said, these people are so, they're so excited. They want to go and fight these people. And the Prophet said, okay, you want to fight? Go and fight. And then these people got all excited, and they took all their swords and armors, and they got closer to the castle. They didn't know how to fight this battle. They were just excited. They got closer to the castle, and here came arrows after arrows. Oh, and then so many of them got hurt and injured, and they backed off. In one day, they backed off. And the Prophet said, okay, what do you say now? Should we go back? They said, oh, definitely we are going back. Definitely. We made a big mistake fighting. So, and the Prophet ﷺ started smiling that these are the same people yesterday. They were so excited when I told them we can't fight these guys because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not yet ordered us. But they were so excited, like looking at their excitement, I said, okay, go ahead and fight. And now in one day, they changed their mind. So all of these people now, well, a lot of them were injured too. 12 people or so that were injured in the previous battle also passed away by this time. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam then went across a grave of a man. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this is the man. This is the man. This is the evil man who brought Abraha to Makkah. And the companion said, who is this man? The Prophet said, his name is Abu Raghal. If you dig close to his grave, you will find a stick. And they dig, and they found a stick. The stick that the person who's leading in the army would carry a little stick on him. That stick was found next to his grave. And the people's, you probably, some of you were not with us when we were talking about the story of Abraha. When Abraha came to the city of Taif, this is the guy that came with massive army and tried to attack Makkah. You guys might have heard about this story in Surah Al-Fil. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. In that story, Allah talks about birds coming and destroying an army. That army was of Abraha. Abraha didn't know how to come to Makkah, so he came to the people of Taif, who sent this man with Abraha. And they told this man, do not take him to Makkah, take him elsewhere. Because Abraha has never seen Makkah. Take him somewhere else. But this guy, Abu Raghal, took them on the right direction to Makkah. So when they were closer to Makkah, Abu Raghal died. So the Abraha army dug a grave for him and buried him there, and they moved towards Makkah. As they got closer to the Makkah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the birds Ababil, which came and destroyed the entire army. So this was the grave of that person, Abu Raghal. But anyway, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his companions reached back to Ja'rana. If you remember the Ja'rana where all the belongings have been put. At that time, a man came to the Prophet and companions. He said, I have a letter from the Prophet. I have a letter from the Prophet. Nobody should touch me. Nobody should touch me. And the companions are like, what letter? Who in the world are you? He said, my name is Suraqa ibn Malik. Tell the Prophet, I have a letter. And then they took the Suraqa to the Prophet, and Suraqa said, remember me 8 years ago? 8 years ago, when you were leaving Mecca and going to Medina, I was following you. My horse fell, I fell, and you gave me this letter. And the Prophet said, yes, Suraqa, I remember you. He said, please tell your companions that don't touch me, don't harm me, don't harm my belongings, because that's what you wrote to me, that none of my belongings will be taken away from me. And the Prophet said, yes. Leave everything of Suraqa. He's protected. All his belongings are protected. And Suraqa said, Ya Rasulullah, I have come here to accept Islam. Please accept my Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I accept your Islam. And he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And Suraqa went. A lady came. This is, you probably guys might not, never heard this story, that a lady came and she said to the companion, leave my way, I am the sister of the Prophet. Leave my way, I'm the sister of the Prophet. And everybody was like, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam doesn't have any siblings. Who are you? He said, my name is Shayma. My name is Shayma. I'm the sister of the Prophet. And they're like, okay, let's take her to the Prophet. And she's an older woman. I mean, probably in her 70-year-old, maybe more than 70-year-old. So something like that. She's an older woman. And she entered into the tent and said to the Prophet, I am your sister, Shayma. You remember me? The Prophet ﷺ said, well, if you are Shayma, on your shoulder, you should still have my mark. That means when Prophet Muhammad was baby, and when babies are teething, like their teeth are coming out, they want to bite onto things because their teething process is like, it just causes them so uncomfortable. They just want to bite on things. So at that age, Prophet Muhammad probably bit on her shoulder. So there was mark of his teeth. So Shayma said, yes, I have them on my shoulder. And she showed it, that this is Shayma. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Shayma, sit down. What happened to because this is the daughter of Halima Sa'diyah. If you remember, when Prophet ﷺ was a baby, he was taken into a village of Banu Sa'diyah, where Halima took care of the Prophet. This was Halima's oldest daughter, who used to take care of the Prophet Muhammad when he was a baby. So the Prophet said, what happened to Halima? What happened to her husband? And she said, they both passed away. And I'm here with a request. I'm here with a request. And the Prophet ﷺ said, what is your request, Halima? And she said, Ya Rasulullah, please let my people go. Please free them. And the Prophet said, of course, free the people of Halima. And her entire village got freed. And she said, Ya Rasulullah, do you have something else? He said, of course, Halima, you're my sister. I will give you things. So Prophet ﷺ gave her like 40 sheep or goats or whatever, and then gave her like 3, 4 servants to look after those goats or sheep. So, and then she left. I mean, like for a villager, having a 40 goats was a big deal because usually villagers have couple goats, maybe 3, 4 goats. Having 40 goats was like a fortune for her. And she was so happy. And then on top of that, she got 4 servants to serve her. So she was extremely happy and she went back. And at that time, Prophet ﷺ called all these people who recently accepted Islam. Abu Sufyan came and the Prophet ﷺ said, Abu Sufyan, I have 100 camels for you and I have a sack full of silver for you. And Abu Sufyan got so excited by 100 camels is a big deal. If you go now and get I mean, like you're talking about over $100,000 he was given right there. You know, he was given like $150,000. Here you go, Abu Sufyan. That's for you. He said, what about my son, Yazid? Yazid bin Abu Sufyan. He said, okay, same amount for Yazid bin Abu Sufyan. And he said, what about my son, Muawiyah? He said, okay, same amount for Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. So almost $500,000 he got there. You know, 300 camels, 3 sacks of silver. And he was happy. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I was your biggest enemy before I accepted Islam. And even at that time, you were very nice to me at times where you could have been extremely harsh. Now that I have accepted Islam, you have been so nice to me that I've never met anybody so nice as you. So Abu Sufyan was so happy when he left. And then Safwan ibn Umayyah, he did not accept Islam yet, but Prophet ﷺ also gave him a lot of stuff. He said to Safwan, you see all these goat and sheep? He said, oh yeah, there are like hundreds of them. He said, these are all yours. These are all yours. Take them. Oh, he was like, wow. And he did not even accept Islam yet. And he was so moved by that. He said, you are so nice to me. And I tried to send a man in Medina to kill you. And you knew that I am the person behind that. And I am the guy who helped the people attack Medina. You are being so, I mean, wow. He was moved. These people are like getting, wow. I mean, like, I was your biggest enemy or one of your biggest enemies, and you are giving me all these gifts. So Prophet ﷺ gave lots and lots of gifts to these people who had recently accepted Islam or helped in this war. And they were extremely pleased. And then you see that when people of Makkah saw that the massive tribe of Banu Hawazin were defeated and they saw angels coming into the battlefield, they were like, Prophet Muhammad, you are the prophet of God, because what we saw are miracles. They're out of this world. You are indeed a prophet. And all of them accepted Islam right after that battle. So that was a big thing. That was a big deal for them. So the numbers of Muslims increased tremendously at the end of that battle. And the Prophet ﷺ then gathered the remaining belongings, and 1/5 of all the remaining belongings would go to the Prophet. And the Prophet would put it in the treasury so that he can help with the poor people with that money. That was not for himself. That was still for the poor people. So he took 1/5 of everything out. So for example, if he get 100 silver coins, he would take 20 silver coins on one side, and out of the remaining 80, he will distribute among the people. And of those 20 coins that he put on one side, that was going in the government, and through the government was helping the poor with that money. So companions started receiving things. And some of the younger boys, like maybe like teenagers of Medina, notice that so much is being given to the people of Makkah, and so much is being given to the new Muslims. We're not getting as much. So they started talking among themselves. And that news reached the Prophet ﷺ that some of the youth of Medina are a little upset about not getting enough. So he said to one of the leaders, Sa'd ibn Ubadah, he said, can you call all these people in my tent? I want to talk to them. So Sa'ad ibn Ubadah went and called everybody in the tent of the Prophet, and the Prophet said, okay, remember I came to Medina and you guys used to fight with each other all the time. I made you brothers. I brought the religion Islam to you. I brought peace to you. You became one. I brought you unity. What am I hearing? I'm hearing something that you are upset about something. And they're like, yes, you have given so much to these people and you have not given as much to us. So that's what we were talking about. And the Prophet ﷺ turned to the leaders of Medina and said, okay, what do you say? And the leader said, no, 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 we are perfectly fine what you have given to us. We have no complaints. This is only the youth because they don't know. Sometimes they get excited. And the Prophet ﷺ turned to the youth and said, are you not happy that these people are going back to their towns with goats and sheep and camels and silver, and you are going back to Medina with me? Have you not made a better deal than them? And the youth was like, oh my God, what were we thinking? And they're like, of course, your companionship is the best thing in this universe. We want you to stay with, that's indeed a better deal. And they all calmed down. And the Prophet ﷺ said, okay, let's move back to Mecca to perform the Umrah. Right at that time, some people from Taif came, rather little before this. Some people from Taif came because Prophet ﷺ said, all the slaves of Taif, if you come to us, you are a free man. So 23 slaves came from Taif and accepted Islam. And one of them was Abu Bakr, not Abu Bakr, Abu Bakr. Why was he called Abu Bakr? That was not his name. When he came down the wall of the fort or castle, he used a long rope. And that rope was used to pull the water out of the well. That rope is called Bakra. So he was named after that. The one who climbed using that, he was called Abu Bakr for that reason. But anyway, so he came out, and so did other 22 people. They accepted Islam. One more thing happened. The people from Banu Hawazin that Muslims were fighting, some of them also came to the Prophet and said, we want to accept Islam. And you know who else came to accept Islam? The Banu Hawazin's leader, Malik ibn Auf. He one night, he escaped from the castles of Taif and he said, nobody should see me sneaking out because if my people see me sneaking out, they will put me in jail. So he sneaked out one night and he came to the Prophet when Prophet was still in Jarana and he said, forgive me, I want to accept Islam. I have come to know and see that Islam is indeed the true religion. God is with you. And when God is with you, no one can defeat you. So Malik ibn Auf accepted Islam, and Prophet ﷺ said to Malik, you will remain the leader of the people of Banu Hawazin. And then Prophet ﷺ went to perform the Umrah at Jarana. And what Malik ibn Auf did, he was extremely harsh to people of Taif. He made sure that people of Taif do not come in his country or in his tribal areas. Otherwise, he would extremely harsh to them. He said, I have nothing to do with you guys. You are my enemies from now on. We were friends when we were on the same religion, but not anymore because you are against the Prophet, and anybody who is against the Prophet is, I'm against that person. So overnight, Malik ibn Auf changed. This is the beauty. When people come in contact with the Prophet, they would see the beauty of Islam. And as Muslims, we need to bring that beauty in us. We need to be a good example in the society. The Prophet ﷺ was the great example in the society. And that's exactly why we are going through the Seerah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, so that we can learn how to be good people, how to be better, how to be the nicest people in the neighborhood, how to be more helpful, how to be loving, how to be caring. So that's exactly the message here. We will stop here today, and inshallah ta'ala, next time we will talk about the next battle that took place and maybe some other stories in between. Mostly our next topic will be the Battle of Tabuk. The Battle of Tabuk. That happened with a massive army. So does anybody has any questions